Hey everybody. This is going to be an unscripted little bit of a rant on a specific topic that I think is important that I address. And also I just kind of want to talk about it. It got me thinking yesterday, and I feel like this is something that is pretty interesting and kind of fun to theorize and talk about. So I want to talk about it here. Galar Rapidash released. And I was playing it last night. This is the first Pokemon that I have ever bought with gems, with real money. I bought it because it's a speedster. I love speedsters, and it kind of fits the aesthetic of the Pokemon that I really like to play. I love Delphox, I love Meowscarada, I love Gardevoir, so it fits immediately with the aesthetic. And then part of the reason that I wanted to buy it immediately is because it looks so much fun. And it is so much fun to play. But this might be the first Pokemon in a long time that has released actually really overpowered and probably could use a nerf kind of as soon as possible. But it is the first one in a while. We've had a lot of releases that have released very balanced or even a little underpowered that the developers have decided to buff shortly after. But I got a comment in my chat yesterday that really got me thinking. It was from Jade, shout out Jade, and she said that usually Pokemon Unite releases are broken. And that is actually just not true at all. So I was thinking about it. There is this pattern of the way that Unite has released Pokemon in the past and what it has done to the mindset of the players that is actually affecting how we perceive the reality in front of us. And this is actually the first Pokemon that has released broken in a long time. Not that it's the first thing that is broken after it was released, like the first new Pokemon that has been broken, but it brings up a few different things. There's the pattern of releases and what is considered balanced, and what is the concept of brokenness. So first, let me go back to around a year ago-ish when this pattern kind of started, where we have something being released. The one I remember is Meowscarada, Metagross, where they released actually a little underwhelming, and then they were buffed shortly after and had a really strong meta associated with it. This didn't include former EX Pokemon like Miraidon and Ho-Oh because they released very powerful and had to be tuned back a little bit more after that. But then this leads me into the concept of brokenness. And I think that a lot of us jump to calling something broken when it's a little overpowered. And I think that a lot of it, I mean, like me being philosophical and whatever, I'm thinking that a lot of it is just us catastrophizing things that don't really need to be catastrophized because it's more dramatic that way. But when you think about it, Pokemon Unite has had an issue for a long time with player retention. The player base is dwindling. It's not a secret. We've seen it. Pokemon Unite is a fun game that a lot of people play, but it could really use some more players. And you see people talking all the time about, like, oh, the Chinese version is going to save Unite. You know, releasing something that's broken is not good for the game because it's never good to have something that's unbalanced or the matchmaking is ruining the game. People are leaving, and there's always something that's catastrophic about the state of Pokemon Unite. And the one thing that is true is that Pokemon Unite is not in the best of states at the moment. We could definitely use some more players. I think the Chinese version could bring a lot of that. But let's go back to the time of Zacian and Mewtwo, where those Pokemon actually were broken. They broke the state of the game. They made the game miserable to play. And I've said this on stream a couple times, but I think that the developers have been very scared for that to happen again. And even though Miraidon and Ho-Oh were very powerful on release, they were still not as broken or did not cause the outrage and conversation that Mewtwo Y and Mewtwo X and Zacian did. And why is that? Now, there's a couple reasons for it. And I think one of them is because Mewtwo itself is like the the most popular Pokemon that they could have brought. Another reason is that it's very easy. They were very easy to play Pokemon. Another reason is because they stayed broken for so long that it kept everybody talking about it, because it was a huge problem that they just refused to address. Now, there have been plenty of other releases that have gotten powerful. I mentioned Miraidon, I mentioned Ho-Oh. Urshifu has been very, very good at some points. Psyduck recently has been considered to be broken. Darkrai has recently considered to be broken, but nothing has caused the outrage that Mewtwo X and Mewtwo Y did. And some of it is because they have been addressing these broken Pokemon more quickly, and I think some of it is also because the brokenness has not caused as much of a detriment as it could have in the previous metas that we saw. They take a little bit more skill. It's a little harder to use Psyduck. I mean, Psyduck is a supporter. It's not carrying. It's not doing a ton of damage. It's not getting you free wins or free KOs or 100,000 damage gains without being able to do anything. Darkrai's the same way. You have to know how to play a speedster. You have to know how to position. And it was very, very strong and really, really broken, but you had to run into a good one for it to do anything. So generally, the brokenness metas that we've had have not caused as much of an outrage or an outcry as it did before. And I have kind of been saying this for a long time, but I think that Mewtwo X and Mewtwo Y were a net positive thing for Pokemon Unite in terms of increasing the size of the player base. People loved to walk into a game, press A, and get free wins. And it was simultaneously the best and worst thing that has ever happened in Pokemon Unite, because it brought a ton of people to the game who were very bad at the game, and it also caused so much negativity surrounding the game that I don't think Unite has ever been able to recover from that. And I was thinking about how maybe Pokemon Unite released another thing that was kind of easy and really broken that got a lot of people mad and a lot of people talking, and enough people come to the game that are going to try that thing out and spend money on it. That might be simultaneously what the player base needs to increase, and also something that's really horrible for the game at the same time, because it makes people angry. And you don't want that. But I think if the Mewtwo X and Mewtwo Y and Zacian thing never happened, Unite would generally be in a better state, because now they can never get that much attention for anything ever again because of how broken it was. And I was against, like, the Chinese release and stuff. Or not against, but I was, like, kind of mourning the Pokemon Unite that we once had, thinking about how it's going to change because of the Chinese release and that we might be getting all of that stuff. But now as I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about this, I'm starting to kind of understand why that is a really good thing. And that could really be beneficial moving forward, because I think the game may have been ruined by the Mewtwo X and Mewtwo Y metas. Miraidon was good, and it was supposed to be that kind of next big Pokemon as an EX, and it just didn't generate the hype, even though it was broken. There were Darkrai, didn't really generate the hype, and I think that the developers may have been kind of purposely designing things that were a little bit extra broken to get people talking or to get people to come and play the Pokemon, and I think that's a good strategy, but nothing will ever be as bad as the Mewtwo's, and that is kind of concerning. And also good at the same time? I don't know. It just got me thinking yesterday when I was streaming, and I kind of saw that we all assume that Pokemon Unite releases are broken because we're so traumatized by the EX metas and what they were trying to do, and I just don't know if we can ever come back from it. I don't know. It might be that the Chinese release is going to save the game or something, but even that, I don't know if it would ever generate as much hype as the brokenness of Mewtwo X and Mewtwo Y. And now that we have Rapidash, it's very good. It's very much on the line of broken. You can see in this game, I've been playing it, and it is so much fun and so broken. And this would be a thing that before Mewtwo X and Mewtwo Y, we would be talking about it so much, but it's not gonna generate the hype. It's just not. It will never generate as much hype as the brokenness of Mewtwo X and Mewtwo Y. We are so focused on the fact that that happened, even though it was so long ago, that nothing will ever be as hype or as horrible or as good as that again. So that's kind of what I wanted to just hop on here and talk about. It was unscripted, so hopefully any of what I said made any amount of sense, but I think it's an important topic to talk about, and I think it's very interesting, so let me know what you think. I would love to have a discussion. Me and Moon will see you all next time. Bye!